I am Dr. Rachel Matthew, the founder of All Things Women, and today I'm going to speak, or we're going to discuss on good sexual and reproductive health and how to achieve it. Now, just as in the airport system, we can see that it's obvious that they're actively trying to achieve the goal of providing safe and comfortable travel to their clients through high top security, punctuality, reinforced, as well as organization. The same should be considered when trying to achieve good sexual and reproductive health, of course in other areas of life as well. Now, what is sexual and reproductive health? Sexual and reproductive health is the well-being, which includes mental, physical, and social well-being of our reproductive system. To go even further, sexual reproductive health involves anything to do with our sexual organs and any health-related issues, puberty, how we feel about our sexuality and our sexual side, relationships. We cannot forget our relationships too, because that is a major thing in sexual and reproductive health. Family planning, reproduction, so baby making. The family structure plays a very important part in sexual and reproductive health. Now, why is it important to achieve good sexual and reproductive health? As I said, sexual and reproductive health contributes to so much. It contributes to the family structure. It contributes to how you behave in relationships, or even not only sexual relationships, but also relationships including family relationships, friendly relationships, and the like. So how do you achieve good sexual and reproductive health? The first thing to ask yourself is, what do you consider good sexual and reproductive health for you? Now, in order to answer that question, you have to kind of consider what are your values as it relates to sexual and reproductive health. So don't worry, I'm going to help you as it relates to that. I have recognized 4 pillars or 4 things that contribute to sexual and reproductive health. The first thing, self. In any situation that you are sexually, or as it relates to reproduction, or it relates to knowing your reproductive organs and how it works, or any sexual issue, you are the first one that is involved, obviously. So self is a major factor. Secondly, sex. How is it that you view sex? How does sex affect your life? So that is the second factor. Thirdly, relationships. Relationships obviously play a major role in sexual and reproductive health. And fourthly, children. Whether or not you intend to, children may be a byproduct of sex. Now, the exercise I have for you in order to help us to determine what our values are in those different pillars or factors, you will need a pen and a paper, a blank paper. Now, for this paper, you are going to draw up a little table. Now, the table is going to be divided into 4 columns and 2 to 3 rows. No, 2 to 3 rows. So each column is going to be labeled accordingly: relationships, children, self, and sex. I'm going to give you some time to get your pen and get a paper or a notebook. You can even pause the video at this point and get back to it. Now, self is a very important part and something that contributes to your sexual and reproductive health. Now, for this exercise, you're going to pick the core values or the terms. So core values are what help to guide your decisions in life. They're not necessarily qualities, but guidance throughout life. And so when thinking about the core values for each aspect of the pillar, you're going to think, what helps to guide you in this aspect? So you're going to pick the word or the term that that speaks to that core value, and think of the meaning of that core value and the impact it will have. So those are 3 stages of this exercise, 3 steps in this exercise. So for self, I have my 2 core values. Now, my 2 core values I have are accountability and healing. So why is it that I picked those two core values? So the second step, what is the meaning behind those core values? So for me, healing is a very important part because it helps me in self-discovery and in knowing exactly what is it that I want in my relationships and exactly what is it that I want for myself, in terms of reproduction, how many children it is that I want and what is it that I want to pass on to them. That's how healing is going to help me. Accountability is very important. Why is it important? Because it helps me to hold myself to a certain standard and not to accept anything less. So the second now pillar is sex. Now go on to sex and think of what are the two core values that will help to contribute to good sexual health. Now for me, it is conversation and embracing me. What do I mean by conversation? So conversation means to me changing the narrative of sex. As a child, and you might be able to identify to it that sex is normally seen as something that is bad. Stay away from it. And maybe some of our first conversations on sex would have been, oh, you're going to get pregnant, stay away from sex, stay away from boys, and so forth. So there's a fear that is instilled in you, and the beauty of it and the importance and significance of it isn't really taught to you. It's just the fear. And that is why what I mean by conversation, changing the narrative of sex. Embracing me just means embracing the fact that that I'm a sexual being. We are all sexual beings. We have two more pillars left: relationships and children. So head over to relationships. What are the two core values that you want to be seen in your relationships? And remember, the core values are things that you're actively trying to implement in your life. So for me, I actually wrote down three. I wrote down commitment, voice, and wisdom. I'm going to explain two of them. Voice means for me never to lose myself in it. I will always speak out for what I want and what I believe in. I will never lower my standards. That is what voice means to me. Wisdom is not to allow, for me, wisdom is so different than intellect or intelligence. Wisdom in terms of relationships mean that I will not let my feelings govern or decide things for me, whether it's in the courtship period, whether it is seeing about myself now as a single person, trying to achieve good sexual health. I would make decisions based on logic, based on facts, and based on a good spirit of discernment, not only feelings. Now, the last thing is children. I hope I'm not going too fast for you. Children, my two words are stability and family planning. Now, family planning is important, and not only to me, not only means the use of birth control, but literally planning. Now, I can plan and things go differently, but the reason, the purpose for planning is that I don't have more children that I can actually be able to provide for, and provide for not only financially but spiritually, emotionally, and physically. So that's what family planning, and that's why family planning is important for me. Stability. I want to be able to show my children that mom and dad are there, they work in unity and togetherness and as a team. And how is it that I'm going to achieve that? Is by seriously considering what is it that I look for in a partner, and to not lower my standards. That's how stability will play, and impact it would have is that my children will have two parents in a household. So that's the exercise. That's the importance of the different areas in sexual and reproductive health, and that'll help as a guide to achieving good sexual and reproductive health. Good sexual and reproductive health don't just drop from the sky like that. And just as we take different aspects of our life very seriously, good sexual and reproductive health in the form of relationships, procreation, courtship or dating, and puberty, knowing our body, it is needed. It is needed. So stay tuned for other videos, and thank you for joining this one.